And hello, movie lovers. So, I just got back from seeing The Flash, and I just have to say, I enjoyed some aspects of it and some aspects, that I feel like are pretty average whenever it comes down to The Flash, things like that. But I'm going to go into my positives real quick. Number one, I thought that Ezra Miller did do a fantastic job as Barry Allen in The Flash. I thought that was really good. Ben Affleck back as Batman, another good little small cameo, of course, by him. And then, then after that, we also have Michael Shannon, General Zod. We have uh, Michael Keaton back as Batman, which is the big standout for me as well, because of the fact that it was going to pull on that nostalgia factor and things like that. So the things that did work here. Okay, number one, the overall plot, I thought it was good. The plot line itself is good. So basically, Barry Allen uses his super speed to change the past, but he attempts to save his family, creates a world without superheroes, forcing him to race for his life in order to save the future. So here's a couple of things that I have to say. Number one, they managed to go ahead and make the Flash have his own story without having to pull too much of the nostalgia or anything like that. So that's what I was happy with, was the fact that it didn't slap us in the face with, oh, do you remember when Michael Keaton said, let's go nuts, let's go on ahead, and put that in there for the sake of having him quote that quote. Then also too, it's like, I'm Batman. And guess what? That was in there, served as a little small thing for people who actually seen the 1989 Batman, which is something that I really fanboyed over in the trailer reaction, and it even heightens that experience in the theater itself. So those are the positives, and of course, with the plot line itself, I thought the plot was very good, even though even though I feel like we also got this in the TV series for the Flash as well. And I was like, okay, some of this stuff I've already seen before. I've already saw the relationship between Barry and his father. Barry's father's locked up, being framed for a murder that he didn't commit. Barry has to try and get him out of there. Therefore, that's what's going to start with the whole entire Flashpoint, and that's where Barry winds up screwing up the timeline. But now, the father and son dynamic for me was better off when the TV series for the CW network. I thought that was actually brought us a little bit more wholeness to Barry Allen himself. With the father and son dynamic in this one, it just lost kind of the flavor for it when it comes down to the cinematic universe, because I wanted to feel like the fact that Barry is heartbroken over his father and the fact now that he has to go back in time to try and free his father. I just didn't feel like that connection was there. And I felt like it was better served in the TV series versus it in the cinematic version. But I'll tell you what does work is the mother and son relationship between Barry, and the whole entire reason why he's even doing this in the first place as well. I thought that worked out. That worked out to me better than the father and son dynamic. And whenever you have that moment in the film where Barry is there with his mother, you can feel it. You can feel the emotion in Barry. You can feel the emotion of the fact that he's losing his mother and he lost his mother, and he doesn't know how to cope with it and trying to figure out how to get his dad out of prison. You do feel that part and that emotion, but as far as the father and son dynamic, that does not work. And in case anybody's wondering, though, too, um, was I able to enjoy the film especially with stuff with Ezra Miller? And here's the thing: it's a shame that he is the way he is because of the fact that the things that he's done in the press and things like that. Because he does a fantastic job in this movie, to the point where I was like, you know what? I wish that you didn't screw up. I wish that you didn't have all this publicity around it, and that way we can, so some people can enjoy it. But for me, I was more sucked into the plot. I was more sucked in to how Barry is going to get home, and you don't even feel the 2 hour long runtime. So if you're wondering, does this movie run too long? For me personally, I didn't feel the runtime in this, which is fantastic. You do get cameos from other universes and things like that. I'm not going to say which ones. I am going to be doing a spoiler review coming up on Monday at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for this particular movie, because of the fact I do want to dive deep into this. But I thought the plot was good. I thought that the two Barrys worked out really well. You actually care about the other Barry and in that part of the future, in that past as well. So I thought that worked. Everything about this just worked. And I thought that this was actually a better movie than Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that's saying a lot because I think that they dived into the multiverse a lot better, and you get to see other cameos within the in this universe. And it's just little small nuggets, but in those nuggets, you actually get something that's actually worth it. And it's not just there for the sake of being there. It's there to serve a purpose. And I also like the whole entire General Zod and Supergirl fight. I thought that was really good. That was really threatening. I thought that that was really good. Um, the CGI, some people were complaining, oh, maybe the CGI is a little off. But for me, I was more in tune with the overall story to ignore the special effects, and that's why I enjoyed this a lot more because I was just glued in and dialed into Barry and his story to the point where it's like, okay, the CGI might be off a little bit or whatever, but for what they did, I thought it was good. But is this the greatest Superman hero movie ever? No, not by the long shot or anything like that. But it's definitely a step up for DC in a way because of the fact that I do feel like this film is good. It's a good film. Don't get me wrong, but it's not one of the greatest comic book movies that you've ever seen before. I still put Avengers, the very first Avengers game, on there, and also too, I also put down Batman: The Dark Knight as the top tier level of superhero movies that we had. But if you're looking for something that doesn't pull on the nostalgia and is not the sake of having nostalgia there, I definitely recommend this. If you're also looking for a good plot and you want to care about the berries, that's what I'm going to call them, the berries. If you want to look at it from that way, yeah, both berries work out very well. The only thing I said that was a negative for me was the father and son dynamic when it came down to the Barry Allen situation, because of the fact that we actually had that played out in the DC universe, not DC universe, but in the CW universe. And I thought that worked out a lot better than this. I felt like that part was forced, but I also like the fact that there's consequences behind this thing though too, where Barry has to try and cope with the fact that maybe he can't go ahead and fix the timeline like he wanted it to and have that happy ending for himself, just as the TV series Flash. So you definitely do have that thing where you care about Barry, you care about what he's going to do, and learning from his situation. So you're dialed into that point. The Iris and Barry thing, it it works, but then again, it kind of doesn't. And I think that's because we don't see enough of that other than in the Justice League movie itself. To the point I was like, okay, so they're gonna get together. Of course, that's canon, but there was no meat there for it to gradually work. And yes, you do have a few laughs in this movie. It's not one of those movies where it's like people are just gonna crack up laughing at every scene, but it hits where it needs to hit at whenever you look at the comedy within this movie, because Barry Allen is a lighthearted character. He comes from basically the light of the DC, just as Superman is also lightheartedness as well, behind the darkness that he had to follow and stuff like that. But I think that I also like how Barry runs over into Gotham, and you see the change in scenery, and you see the fact that you go from light, then you go over to like a dark and grim city. So I thought that worked. Michael Keaton wasn't phoning it in. I believe that he was actually Batman. I actually felt like there was no time that had passed that that he hung up the cowl. I felt like he was very dialed into what he needed to do. I also love the Batcave and how it was all cobwebs and things like that too. But there are other cameos within this thing, and I have to say, it was actually a fun movie. It was a fun time. I definitely recommend people going out and seeing it if you guys are diehard Flash fans, or if you just were like, you know what, I don't know if I want to go see this or not because of things with Ezra Miller. That's totally up to you. You guys don't have to see it or anything like that. But I do have to say, for people that are dealing with the fact that you don't know if you can disconnect what he did, and if you're like, oh, I'm not gonna see that, just don't go see it. Don't support it. If you don't support it, catch it next time on maybe on streaming or something. But for me, I thought it was good. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought Ezra Miller did a fantastic job. So go on ahead, tell me what you thought of The Flash. Comment below. Don't forget to smash the like button. Don't forget to comment below. And I'll see you guys back here. I know I said 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, but it's actually going to be 8:30 Central Standard Time, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time because of the fact that I'm doing the Sandman review, but Rossie coming up on Monday. So that's going to be at Monday at 8:30 Central Time, 9:30 Eastern Time for that. I hope that you guys enjoy this review, and always until next time, guys, have a great and safe night, and I'll see you back over here again on Monday. So have a great and safe night, and I'll catch you later.